Stay off the 405. Traffic is tight today.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, SIG alert on the
And now
405.
from our helicopter reporter, Tommy James. Dude. So what's going on? You know, going back to my bonfire candle here. Yeah, it was one of those things to where, you know, Mama was wanting to go out and look at stuff, so we stroll through a Pier 1 and, you know, World Market's right there, so we cruise into there. But dude, it's weird because it doesn't have like the same feel that it used to.
Cachet. Yeah, now it's cheap stuff.
Yeah, you need to bring that mic in, bro.
All right. I still have 2 tables from the Pier 1.
Oh, yeah?
That have lasted forever and a day. That these 2 end tables in the bedroom.
You know, we had one of those. We bought some weird chair when we first got married from there. And same thing. Like, it lasted. I mean, we finally just gave up and got rid of it. But it wasn't, like, broken, you know. Like, I bought stuff that's give out.
You know when you hear about the economic report with durable goods?
Yep.
That's a durable good.
There you go.
Furniture, appliances, you know, refrigerators, washer and dryers. That's when they're talking about shit that lasts more than 10 years.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, there's people are buying durable goods. I was like, all right, good.
Well, you know, and you always hear, like, the old saying, like, they're not making it like they used to. I buy that now. I understand that now.
Certain items.
I'm getting old.
Yeah, it's just an indication of our age when we start saying things like that.
Right? So, Ken, on that mic, man, you can just, you know, sit back, relax.
Yep.
Just
right.
bring the mic to you.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So what did you guys do right now? You knocked out 2 loan apps?
Refinance app and took a look at another one that we just got.
And a pre-qualification app.
Nice. Looking good?
Both look, yeah.
Yeah.
One's a slam dunk, the refinance. Poor lady got divorced, sad to say. So she's got to buy out the ex and get the file, and we got the house in her name only.
Yeah.
Done those a gazillion times. It's, again, no realtor, no buyer, just Ken and the borrower.
Ken and the borrower.
Those are so easy.
And it came in through a realtor, but there's no, it's just a
referral, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
he's on the board for January.
He's on the board for January.
Yeah.
Good job, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Big B Mortgage Podcast. Today, I'm joined with my good friend Michael Task, a.k.a. Condo Man here in Austin, Texas.
Hello.
Hello. Michael Magic Task.
Yeah, man.
Easy.
Yeah, and I am sitting here with somebody who is long overdue to be in the chair. One of our newest LOs, not to the company at this point, right? Like, you've been here how long now, Ken?
10 months.
Right.
What was the start date, February?
Yeah, sometime in February, yeah.
So you're coming up on 1 year.
Right.
But not just with movement. You're coming up on 1 year in the mortgage business.
Yes, that's right.
So you're like,
brand new.
You're brand new. This was the trial by fire year.
Yeah.
Right? And I want to get into all that because, I mean, I know it's been, how can I put it, Task, a journey.
Tumultuous, I'm sure anxiety-ridden.
I'm
right?
sure.
Yeah, it's...
but the light bulb went off.
Yes.
And seems to be clicking now.
Yeah. And I noticed you're a lot less talkative now that I've got you on a microphone than you normally are. You're going to have to get over that, brother. This is 100% audio, dude. You're going to be fine.
I know. Okay. All right.
There's no one here.
There's no one. It's just us, baby.
Good point.
So, Ken, let's start. Why? Okay, so give me your background before the mortgage. What were you doing before you were in the mortgage business?
Yeah, great question. All right, so
all my questions are great questions.
Yeah, so I was in
It's
tech.
your responsibility for some great answers.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so I spent 25 years in tech as a non-technical person, really more of like a business leader, and 25 years. It's crazy to think that I'm old enough to say that, but
yeah, it is because you actually look younger than me, and it kind of pisses me off. So.
And I always wanted to own my own business, and but not a brick and mortar business, and I wasn't going to start my own tech, company. I always wanted to own my own business, and I kicked the tires on it a couple of different times. And then finally, for me, I was approaching my 50th birthday, and my wife is pregnant with our fourth child, our first son, our fourth child. And it was, I just a lot of things were going on, but I was thinking, okay, my son, okay, I'm going to have a son now, and I'm going to either take a chance on myself, something I've wanted to do since about the third day of work, maybe the first day of work in Silicon Valley, but initially didn't feel like I was prepared to do, and then over time, over time, just through experience and interaction with people, I think I developed a belief that I could really make it happen. And so, again, approaching my 50th birthday, I said, look, I'm going to do it now or I'm never going to do it. And if I never do it, then my son's going to be a teenager. I'm going to be in my mid-60s. And yeah, I'm just not going to be a very enjoyable person to be around. So I'm like, I'm going to do it. This is, and anyway, a lot of things. I had such an amazing piece. Also, I, had a little bit of financial runway to be able to say, okay, hey, I'm going to take going to burn through some savings here and really make a run at this. But a tremendous amount of peace to do it as well. So yeah, it's a mid-career change for me. Huge change. It's no experience whatsoever. So
okay, hold on. So
I'm getting out ahead of it. Sorry.
No. You're fine. I just want to unwrap it a little bit. So, how old are you?
I'll be 52 next week.
All right.
Friday?
24th. So
okay.
Monday.
Wow. Well, first off, happy early
thanks very
birthday.
much.
So you're 52.
Yeah,
you're basically 52. Yeah.
3 more days.
Just shy of getting hit by a bus, dude. You might as well 52. You're 52.
Awesome, yeah.
But so arguably you decided to do this when you hit 50.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes. Well, I decided to do something. I wasn't quite sure what it was, and then a months later, it came to me of what this thing was going to be, and it was the mortgage business.
At 50.
And in fact, I was 51 at that point. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not judging. I think it's
Oh,
phenomenal.
no, yeah, I was 50,
I mean,
50,
it's
yeah, I
like
was 50. Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
50 years old. You've already had arguably a really great career up to that point.
Yep.
And then you decide to pivot. And not only do you pivot in what I would say is one of the most unconventional ways out there right now. I mean, you go from this career of tech, which you could have rode that out
Right.
for a lot longer, right?
Or found some
Sure.
type
Oh,
of niche
absolutely.
that you could have carved out.
Yeah, of course.
And serviced
Yeah.
something there.
Yeah. Or I could have stayed in the same kind of a role and changed industries. The type of thing.
I got to be careful because we might talk him out of staying in the mortgage
Yeah,
business.
exactly. No way. I'm here, man. I'm not going anywhere. But yeah, no, I could have done the same thing, just even in a different industry. I could have, had a lot of different options.
Right.
But,
You could have done real estate. You could have done, whatever. But
Financial services or
Yep.
a variety of things.
That's right. Yep.
stay on the mic, Task.
Yes, sir.
All right. So you hit that milestone.
Mm-hmm.
You got some cheddar squirreled away that you can live off of,
burn through. Mm-hmm.
burn through, and you just decide to go mortgage. Tell me what brought that on.
Well, it's a crazy thing. So I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, and I tried to figure it out. I went back and looked at some things that I had looked at, 12 years earlier, financial planning, insurance, things like that. So something where I could really own my own business, but not be responsible for HR and legal and all that kind of stuff, right? And so I went back and kicked the tires on those things, and none of them was quite right. And so, and you guys know me, I'm a person of faith, and so one night, it was really just, I didn't think about this. I was just like, getting ready for bed. And I said, this was all of about a 10-second monologue with God. I said, look, I know that I'm being called to do something different. I could not have a more amazing sense of peace about being called to do something differently than I had. And but I said, God, I have kicked the tires on everything that I know to go and look at. And none of them is it.
Right.
And so I said, I'm gonna stop trying to figure it out, and I'm just gonna trust you're gonna reveal it to me.
Wow.
And that's what happened. And it was 2 or 3 nights later, the same week, I woke up in the middle of the night, about 3:30 in the morning, with 2 words in my brain: mortgage broker. I didn't even know what a mortgage broker did. I had purchased 4 homes in my life. I had used a broker. First home was back in 2004 or so, and so I'd used brokers, but really didn't know what a mortgage broker did. So I got out of bed, I Googled mortgage broker, and it took me through various things, and I end up on a and by the way, we don't have mortgage brokers in the United States anymore, so it's
We
crazy.
do.
We
Well,
do.
I know,
It's
but
just-
That model is not like it used to be.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But what it did, it put me on a Reddit thread. I don't think I've ever been on a Reddit thread in my entire life, but I end up on this Reddit thread because some things I'm interested in is, number one, what do these guys do? Number two, do I have to work for a bank? Because I really don't want to work for a bank, you know?
Right.
And then number three, my fourth child, I don't remember if he was born yet. I think he was born. And I'm like, I've got 4 kids and I'm married, you know, and is it going to support the lifestyle that I want to live, you know, and I
Sure.
want to provide for my family. And so so I end up on this Reddit thread looking for, you know, how much can you make? I mean, let's keep it real, right?
Back into it.
Yeah. And so somebody said something about this guy, Dustin Woodhouse, wrote a book on Be the Better Broker. So I, click on this, and this guy, Dustin Woodhouse, he's up in Canada. He's a mortgage broker in Canada. And he wrote a 4-volume set titled Be the Better Broker. So I bought volume 1. It was probably about 6 o'clock in the morning when I purchased it on Amazon. And anyway, it arrived 2 days later, and I tore through it within a few days. But before I finished the first page, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. What he was describing it. So volume 1, he writes about it, applies 100% to the U.S. market as well as Canada. And then volume 2 does it. 99% applies to the U.S. market as well. But anyway, all that to say that the broker element of mortgage broker led me to this book by Dustin, and that I read, that really just validated for me that this is exactly what I'm being called to do. And so
We're so happy to be part of God's plan.
Dude,
Right?
that is, I don't even think I've heard that version.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't shared it a whole lot. It's so, but yeah.
I think that's awesome though, man. Like,
Yeah.
wow, you had your faith,
Yep.
and then you
At peace with it.
Had peace
you're
with
like,
the faith.
An
Hey,
amazing sense of peace.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
what's pretty cool.
That's
because you had tried and tried, and you looked at all these different things, and then you just kind of said, you know what, okay, right? Like, hey, I give up. Like, I'm not figuring this out.
Yep.
It's not that it's on him, but or her. Sorry, but not that it's on God, but hey,
Yeah.
I leave it in your hands, kind of
Yeah.
a thing, and then boom.
That's right. Yeah,
So-
it's a great, it's incredible. I mean, it's hard for me to believe myself, except for the fact that I experienced it. But so being on the hearing end of this story, or people listening to it, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, it's an amazing thing to have gone through. I can tell you that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
So
So
keep going.
okay, yeah. So so a couple of things. So I signed up and kind of went through, got licensed, all this kind of stuff. But then I started talking to people and telling people what I was thinking of doing, or just looking for really just some validation or confirmation. And 2 people I talked with, I talked with a bunch of people, but 2 people who were notable. One of them was this guy. He was the pastor of our church, and he said, "Oh, you need to talk with Dan Deepenhorst. He has a mortgage company, and he's done pretty good. He helped me with my loan, right?" The guy had recently moved up here from San Antonio, so I'm like, "All right." So he put me in contact with Dan Deepenhorst, who's the president of a pretty significant mortgage company.
Right.
I had no idea. I thought Dan was just a guy like me, but Dan, anyway. So, but Dan was gracious. We spent some time on the phone. I told him what I was thinking of doing, all this kind of stuff. He's like, "Yeah, do it. You can do it." There have been guys like you who have done it, done mid-career change, if you will, and been successful. So that was one thing. A second thing, I talked with a guy who lives here in Austin. He helped my wife and I purchase our first home in Austin. His name's Michael Riley, and he, Michael, he has a large brokerage here in Austin. So I called him, and I knew that his background, he had been a financial analyst at Dell before he really kind of went gung-ho in real estate.
Did
And
his
so I
career
called.
change?
It'd be a career change for him.
Yeah,
He did it at a
yeah.
younger age, and he may have had a little bit of experience with building and flips and stuff like that. But anyway, it was a mid-career change for him as well. So I called him and told him what I was thinking of doing. He's like, "Yeah, sounds great. You can do it. And by the way, you need to talk with this company, Movement Mortgage, because they do something that nobody else in the industry does, and that really addresses a huge need in the real estate community." And so he started explaining, their underwriters look at files up front at the very beginning of the process, and he started telling me what the significance of all of that, and I was like, all right. So then I started calling you, and
Yeah.
Research and movement.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That famous voicemail.
It's a good one.
Oh. I gotta be honest, man. It got purged in like a clean out.
Yeah.
Because I've gone back and I've literally tried to find it and I've got other voicemails from you, but I can't find that one.
That original one.
Oh man, it was amazing. And for those of you who don't know, I get this phone call one day that I don't know the number, so I let it go to voicemail. And usually with the telemarketers, they'll pass or whatever. But nah, man, I get this voicemail and I look and it's like
8 minutes.
It's like an 8-minute voicemail.
I had been timing it. I tried to keep it under a minute. I had practiced that thing many
failed
times.
Miserably. And so I'm like, what? And I'm like, okay, let me hear this thing. And this voice comes over full of energy. And it was like, Mr. Shull, my name is Ken Ziegler. And I would like to talk to you about an opportunity at Movement Mortgage. I have a plan to build a blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, this guy's got a plan, like, okay, all right, yeah, let me call him back.
Yeah,
like it was one of the best voicemails I've ever had, dude. I gotta tell you.
Well, here's what I did. I had no doubt that I was gonna get into this business, and I still believe I'm gonna succeed. I say succeed. I'm gonna help a lot of people.
You're gonna thrive.
Yeah, I'm gonna help a lot of people, and I'm gonna build a big business, and not in a lot of positive ways, and hopefully make a lot of positive impacts in various ways throughout the community and with people and all that. But so I was researching everything I could possibly do about this business, and I had stumbled upon this one guy who had these great YouTube, short YouTube sort of training videos, how to be successful in the mortgage business. And anyway, so that kind of got me. This guy Todd Screama, and so that then I got stumbled upon the core training. It's a training for loan officers. They've got a real estate version of it as well, but. And so I, started attending there, sort of Tuesday or Wednesday, some free training thing, and I started talking with the coach over there, and I signed up to be in the core, which is, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hardcore, in terms of this is what you do. They provide, if you will, the blueprint. You do this and you will be successful, and they're pretty hardcore about it.
They're believers in it, and it seems to have been proven works.
Right. Well, see, and that goes back, so the voicemail. Right, like he's name dropping Michael Riley, like he's like, I'm friends with Michael Riley and da 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 da, and so I call back and I'm like, I'm thinking this guy's been in the business, at least 4 or 5 years based on like the trigger points he hit in your voicemail, and I'm like, oh yeah, this will be a great addition to the team. I call him up, and he was like, well, I'm in the process of getting licensed. I'm like, wait, what? You're not even licensed? No. You worked at a bank? No, I'm brand new to the business. I'm like, you're going to build $100 million business. You ain't even got a license yet? Well, I'm in the core. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're not licensed?
And you're in the core.
And you're already in the core?
And you're getting licensed.
Okay, that gets you the coffee meeting right there, And it was funny because... you did your disc assessment and you were new, zero production, and there was, I got to be honest with you, there were chips stacked against.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
Bringing on somebody, especially going into the market that we're in right now.
Right.
It's tougher, it's harder. Like you picked a hell of a time to join the business.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's not 08 bad, but it's
just a different world.
It's just a different world. A lot of competition, thinner
Yes.
margins, blah, 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 rising rates.
Right.
But I remember it was like every time I would take this up to another person and be like, hey, look, there's this guy. I think you should sit down. And I know he's new. He has no experience, but he's really dynamic. Like he's got a lot of energy. And every time somebody would meet with him, and I put him in front of the hard people. I put him in front of Randy at the time. And you remember Randy, boy. Randy was not going to sit there and deviate from his plan for somebody especially new. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And Randy came back and he was like, dude, yeah, we got to hire this guy. Like, we got to hire this guy. And I was like, okay, well, I still got to get him in front of Rob. So I put you in front of Rob Durden. And I think you and Rob ended up.
Yeah, on the phone. Yeah,
it was supposed to be like a 10-minute call. Rob calls me like an hour later or something like that. I was like, dude, I love this guy, man. This is exactly the type of guy. And I'm like,
accent, yeah.
and I'm like, okay, all right. And so we ended up we had to wait on your license.
That's right.
what it
Yeah.
was.
Well, and you and I had a coffee meeting. You had said something about, I forget what you said. You had asked me a question like, did I do something? I'm like, what is that? I didn't realize I had another step. My license hadn't been approved. I forget what that last step was, but I was like, you mean there's something else? I thought I was done. Like, no, you need to do this too. I'm like, oh crap. And then that was kind of November time frame when everybody's renewing, and I got
bottleneck.
Yeah, I got caught in the bottleneck, and so it's that drug thing's on another at least 4 weeks. I forget.
Oh, I remember. He would call me every week to give me an update. Dude,
I was implementing my core, what I was learning in the core, just giving you the weekly update, right? So
I'm like, okay, like now he's got the sales pitch part. Now he's got the follow-up skills. Like, yeah, okay, I'm feeling better about this. Like, yeah. But we
get that license.
That license. Yeah. Come on, buddy.
Yeah, in fact, I think it took like at least another 6 or 8 weeks. Because I remember thinking, okay, this is just going to be a couple of days. And I remember you leaving a coffee shop. You're like, oh, it might be a little bit longer than that, And I was like, and I'm thinking to myself, no way. But yeah, I think it had at least a couple months.
Department of Mortgage and Savings and Loan.
Oh, God bless him.
Yeah. God bless him.
Yeah. God, all 4 of them.
I think that's
for the whole state.
I think that's it. Yeah. I would. Those ladies got to know me. I would call them too. You know what I mean? Because at first I just was waiting for a couple of weeks, and then I'm like, I need to start calling these ladies because I got to give Bobby a better update.
That's what
a better update than I'm just waiting.
Oh, it's at the top of the pop up.
Guarantee.
Put it back to the bottom.
Boy.
Well, no. Then I started asking questions like, okay, well, I began to ask them questions about how their process works. Like, do you bring in a batch, and then the crazy thing, this is outside the scope of this, but the crazy thing that I learned was, oh no, we just go day to day, and we don't know how many applications are in the queue for tomorrow. Yeah, we'll know that when we show up tomorrow and open the queue for tomorrow. And I was like, how do you? What? So they could not give me any estimation. They just that's right, because I was giving you. I was saying, hey, they're working on the September 19th to September 26th.
Giving me date ranges. I'm like, Ken, it's the middle of December, and you're telling me they're still working on like October.
Right.
It was crazy.
Tens of thousands of applications.
Yeah.
Oh, it's brutal. But yeah, so you got through that. I mean, you've made it through all those little obstacles, and then it's like we issue the offer, you accept.
Yep.
You come in.
Yeah.
And reality hits.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so it's just craziness. I look back on it, it's just absolute craziness. You'd mentioned Randy. So Randy was kind of, overseeing, keeping an eye on me, make sure that I was focused on all the right things. And so I think he gave me, a couple of days to get my computer set up and email and all that kind of stuff, or maybe a day and a half, and then after that, he's like, you got to start making some phone calls.
Pick up that phone.
Pick it up. It ain't going to dial itself, bro.
And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I'll go to training next week. Shouldn't I wait till I come back from training? Because I don't even know. I don't even know how to log in. Well, I don't know how to log into these systems. I don't know what these systems are. I don't even know what's on a 1003. In fact, back then, I didn't even know what a 1003 was.
The 1003. Right?
That's it. The 10,003.
1,003.
Oh my God!
Did you find the Jiffy?
In fact, Michael, he can attest that I probably still, if you ask me, what are the key things that are 1003, I'd probably still leave off one or two of them.
Repetition.
Yeah. But anyway, but Randy's like, you gotta start making some phone calls, and so I just started making phone calls, and I started making phone calls, and which is just absolute craziness because I'm calling people, and I'm calling people who are successful, in this business because here was a breakthrough for me. So I'm calling people. Then I started to get some ideas. I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I can, instead of cold calling all these people, I can reach out to some of my friends and ask them, hey, who was your realtor? And would you recommend your realtor? And would you provide a warm introduction so that I can call them and say, hey, Jason referred me or Mark referred me? And so, and my friends, they were so gracious. They all, oh, yes, and some of them introduced me to, 6 or 8 or 10 different realtors, you know what I mean? Which was really helpful just to get out and start meeting people, you know what I mean? And I'm not working with any of them, and that's fine. I thought they were gracious, and and back then I was probably talking more than listening. In fact, I know I was. You know what I mean? Which isn't what you want to do as a lender. As a lender, you want to know how you can really help people. But back then, I was just so excited to be in the business. I was just telling everybody about how excited I was to be in the business. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You were feature dumping.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, and I wasn't even doing that. I was Ken Ziegler dumping,
That's good. Hey, it's part of the process.
They were like, you changed careers, and how long have you been doing this?
Yeah, exactly,
Right.
right.
2 days.
Oh, yeah, okay. So
exactly,
you're
yeah.
5 minutes in. Yes, let
Yeah.
me give you all my financials.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Right. So, but anyway, so I started, making some warm contacts, if you will, and then over time, just then, feeling more and more confident. But I will say this: one time I was getting ready to call this realtor, and she was a warm introduction, if you will, and I hesitated, and it just occurred to me. I'm like, why would she? And I had never spoken with her yet. I have since then, a few conversations, but I thought to myself, why would she recommend me over anybody else? And she's been a realtor for a long time, so she's got people who she works with. And it just occurred to me, like, I did not yet know what my value proposition was. I didn't have one, right? And so in about 30 minutes, inspiration struck, and I wrote a value proposition. I wrote something, and I still use it today because I believe it. And it's but that then gave me confidence in myself, because I felt like, okay, I'm going to be able to provide some value, real value, to the realtor and to his or her clients,
Right.
that I believe is above and beyond what most other lenders will do. Not all other lenders, but what most. You know what I mean? And so that gave me some confidence. And it's almost Gary Keller and is it Jay Papasan, right? They wrote the book The One Thing, right? And so what is your one thing, right? And so it kind of, and I hadn't read that book at this point, by the way, but I have since then. And it kind of ties in with that, right? And so I think we as lenders and realtors too, I encourage realtors, what is your one thing? What makes you different from everybody else? Because everybody is different, right? And as we come to realize what our difference is or what our value add is, and as we embrace that, it gives us confidence, right?
Absolutely.
It gives us confidence to
Right.
pick up the phone and
Absolutely.
make that call a client or call our database, whatever it is, because we believe in ourselves, right? That we really are adding some value, right? So that was a breakthrough for me, coming up, if you will, with my,
Your value proposition.
yeah, exactly.
So do you mind sharing that, or?
Yeah. So what I came up with that day is, and I tell realtors this today. It says my goal is to ensure that your clients have an amazing customer experience and become a raving fan of you and refer you to everybody they know, and that's my goal. So I really want to serve them and make you look good. I also, I tell realtors today, and I do my best to, follow through on it. Is I'm gonna ask your clients on your behalf. There's two things I'm gonna ask them. Number one, I'm gonna ask them to provide you a 5-star review on your platform of choice, whether it's Google, Zillow, whatever it is. I'm gonna ask them, and I will ask them multiple times, and I'll ask them for a commitment to give that to me. Ideally, while they're going through the process, because that's when they're excited about it. But certainly within 48 hours of closing. So that's number one, 5-star review. And the second thing, I'm gonna ask your clients to give you at least one referral. Right, and ideally, again, during
Wait.
Yeah,
You're going to ask their clients
to
to
them,
give the realtor
Yeah.
one referral. So you're
Absolutely.
not even asking for yourself.
Correct. That's absolutely right. Yep. I asked because and it's Zig Ziglar, right? He said it best, right? You can have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want.
Oh, look at him quoting Ziggy.
I tell you, that's man. It goes back to junior high when I've read "See You at the Top."
No relation. No relation.
No relation. Yeah, no relation.
Dang
No,
it.
I've met Zig a couple times, so yeah, no relation. But yeah. So it's number one, helping their client have an amazing customer experience. Number two, then I'm going to be asking their client for something for them, right? Which a lot of like really, really good realtors, really confident realtors, they're doing that anyway. Most realtors, however, they're not, because it's hard to ask somebody, hey, would you give me a review? It's just kind of, it's just hard to do, right? But so I just try to take that. Let me do that for you, right? Let me do that for you, and let me get some referrals for you, and
if you can be their advocate and a proponent,
Absolutely.
do that for
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
They're like, my gosh, this is a value.
Absolutely.
This is something different that no one has come to me with ever, probably.
That's absolutely maybe so. And so but now I have to believe in that realtor, right? I mean,
Right.
I have to believe in. and that's also why a lot of times when I ask realtors, so what do you feel like your value add, or what do you feel like your unique, selling proposition is, or whatever you want to call it, right? To get a feel from them, how they feel about themselves. But anyway, but this business, what I see in this business, right? I mean, this is a people business, right? 100%, right? There are a lot of realtors, right? There are a lot of realtors, and so I work with successful realtors. I work with amazing people. I believe they're amazing people. I make sure that their client knows how I feel about their realtor and all the great things that they're doing. I try to point out to the client, hey, look, your appraisal came in, it's a little bit high. You've got some instant equity in this house, or hey, gosh, I haven't seen that condition or that term, sort of negotiated successfully into a contract before. You're getting a lease back, at no charge. That's amazing, right? I mean, very few realtors can pull that off, right? And so I try to point those things out. But anyway.
How long did it take you to close the first deal?
On day 90, I closed the first deal, and here's a funny thing. So this year in 2018, I closed 2 deals with the realtor who referred that one, and I met that realtor. So I started on a Friday. I came in Friday afternoon. Bobby, you gave me my computer and login credentials and all of that. And that Saturday, I went out and just started going to open houses. And so just went to open houses. And a guy who I met at an open house on that Saturday. The couple
First deal.
that was the first deal. Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
And after that first one, you thought, this is great. I want to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, and I didn't. In fact, I wasn't there at that point. I wasn't quite sure what I thought at that point. I knew that I hadn't figured anything out. I knew that, and then I will say this. It's funny looking back. In a lot of ways, I feel like I struggled through the summer time. So I started in February, so March, April, May. So it would have been sometime in May when that first loan closed. And then I say I struggled, and I don't know if struggle is the right word, but it was I wasn't producing. I wasn't making enough phone calls. There's a lot of stuff that I wasn't doing enough of, and at the same time, there was so much I was learning. I mean, I'm reading guidelines. I mean, I'm really trying. I'm trying to figure out, how do I market. What's this M3 thing or Total Expert? What's there's just so much coming at me because so
tools,
here my observation is, so the learning curve was steeper than I ever expected,
right,
and longer than I ever expected, and so then I ended up, went a few months there not doing anything and not closing loans, but doing a lot of activity. Probably, in retrospect, I could have and should have been doing more, but at the same time, anyway, so I went through a few months, and obviously I wasn't closing anything, but I was building relationships. People, I was getting applications from people. Here's the other thing, when realtors decide, hey, I'll give this lender, I don't know him, but he seems like a pretty good guy, they're going to give you a shot. Some realtors will give you a shot, but they're, for the most part, you haven't done anything to deserve their best clients yet, right? So they may kick the tires with you with a client who has a credit score that's a little bit, maybe just on the borderline, or some other issues, right? So I know I was working through. It seemed like there for a while I was getting at least one new application a week. You know what I mean? It just turned out that we couldn't fund any of the loans for them. They didn't qualify. But then anyway, just the snowball of just continuing to make phone calls, continuing to go out and meet realtors for coffee.
Some quality people now that you're seeing, and quality leads.
Yeah. So the second half of the year, then, or the latter quarter of the year, if you will, things have
I think
picked
you
up.
said earlier today, we're talking about one of the new applications you were looking at. This realtor in particular has this type of client. And they're starting to identify which realtors have certain type of clients and which ones may require a little bit more effort, and other ones that require a different type of level of service.
That's right. Yep.
And that's pretty cool.
It is. Yeah. So being able to, and so what I would like to do with that realtor, I was thinking about this. I went to the gym this morning. I was thinking about this realtor who, I think this person works with people who are, they're tougher to get qualified. And I'm going to challenge this realtor in 2019 to find a client with a buyer at a certain price point, and then I'm going to ratchet that up. It's just my way of, and then I'm going to encourage this realtor as well, right?
Let's
you
grow
can
together.
do it. Let's grow together. You can do this, right? Because I went through this myself, and I did it over a short amount of time, but. And we all know this, right? We all set limits on our growth or our potential. We are the ones, for the most part, who set our limits, right? Right. And so, to the extent that when we decide, hey, I'm just going to start crashing through this limit, I believe that I can do more. I believe that I can have more, be more. All these things, right? Once we start believing that, then then it tends to come true. It manifests, or whatever you want to call it. But I want to encourage realtors in that way as well, because it's this business, it's self-limiting, and it's also
limitless.
It's also limitless.
Absolutely.
Right? We
see it all the time.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, and it goes back to mindset.
Yep.
Absolutely. I mean, it really does, because you being in the same spot that I have been in the past, Task has been in, any person who's carried production or been in this industry any length of time went through that valley, if you will, to where it's like you're making phone calls, you're putting out effort, and you're not getting squat back.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
right,
90 days to close the first deal. That's a lonely 90 days. You know what I mean? And I won't even get into how long it took to close the second, third, fourth, and fifth. Right.
Yep.
But I mean, now I saw that period where it was like, oh man, I hope he sticks with it. Like because there's only so much the leadership
that doubt
part.
It's creeping in the back of your mind for a moment. I'm sure you had those moments.
For me, at some point, I just kind of went back on what I started with was, look, I'm going to be successful in this thing, and but I need to at some point, and it was just, I don't know, a couple months back, just made a decision to be a professional, and that I wasn't going to do things or cling to habits or whatever that would trip me up, and that I was just that I believe that I'm really, really called to do some amazing things in this business and through this business, and but I had to step into that, and it was a couple months back. I feel like I fully stepped into that. So I always
kind
knew
of the aha moment.
Yeah, and it was more of a moment of taking full responsibility and being fully accountable, and really just embracing that and saying, look, this is it.
This is my job. This is my career.
This is my calling. This is my calling, right? I feel like, I really believe this is my calling, but I had to step into it, because a lot of things, coming into this business, I struggled at first, with even. Everybody knows me as this guy who was pretty successful in tech, right? Did okay, and so then all of a sudden I'm doing something that's completely different, and I went through a little bit of an identity of like, okay, is this really me, and am I comfortable with this? And if I see somebody that I worked with in the past, I just went through some weird stuff about like just identity, right? And I don't know why. I don't know why. I know why. It has to do with pride, right? It all has to do with pride. And at some point, I just had to embrace that. I love this business. I love everything about it. I love the people who I meet. And I feel like I'm finally at a point in my life where I'm using all of my skills and all of my gifts, and I'm being challenged every day to be my absolute best. And if I don't bring my A game every single day, well, let me say it this way. I'm going all over the place. I felt like in my previous career, because I didn't feel it as a calling. I loved what I did. I loved the people I worked with and all of that. But there was always this thing like, this isn't quite it for me. And I always knew that it wasn't quite it. And so I think I got by for many years on 90% effort.
Right.
And I think there were a few months this year where I was giving 90% effort in this business, and so probably because it was just a habit. That I had for years, giving 90%, right? And then it was a few months back, I said, you know what, I don't want to give 90%. I want to give freaking everything. I want to. It's like
All in.
playing football, man. You
in.
could drag me off that field, right? I do not want to come off the field, like I can run a couple more plays. I want to give everything to this, and in every way possible. And so, and so I had to sort of. That was sort of I mentioned responsibility earlier. It was really basically embracing that responsibility. Like I've got an amazing opportunity here, Bobby. You've given me this opportunity. I feel forever indebted to you for saying yes. And Michael, you've been like an amazing mentor to me this year. Really, I mean, I wouldn't be where I am right now without you guys and some of the others here. But it was, but I had to, there was a level of responsibility, and I just had to say, you know what, I'm going to give 100% every single day. I want to give 100%. And my biggest challenge now is that I don't know enough. I want to know more, and so I get tripped up on a file. Not that I'm going to mess it up. I'm not messing it up, but it's like just little simple things that I'm not able to answer as quickly as I'd like to be able to answer. And so that's the frustrating part for me, is that I don't feel like I can go quite as fast as I want to go. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now you're always there, Michael. So I can ask you, and I ask you countless questions every single day, and you're super patient with them. And I really appreciate that.
I'm sorry, you just said task is patient.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. No, he
Come on, man.
He does.
I got a bad rap somehow.
Dude.
I don't know how that came down.
Let me see what you're doing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, you better slip him that 20, bro.
Yeah.
Nah, dude, you're in good hands with this boy right here.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm super fortunate. I'm super thankful.
Yeah. So tell me what 100% looks like. What's a 100% day for you?
Good question. And so 100% day is, I have theme days, right? So in the core of theme days.
I'm sorry, you have theme days?
Theme days, yeah, every day, right? There's realtor calls on certain days. There's, prior client calls. There's, on certain days, there's, I don't have very many prior clients, so that's kind of an easy, I get that one up pretty quickly. But making the right phone calls on the right days, right? So file, like update to the realtor, update to the borrower, update to the listing agent, of what the status of a file that's the projected to close here in the next couple of days, or committed to close, if you will. So doing my theme days. Then there's also I'm training every single day. I'm learning something, and it's so maybe I'll like yesterday I spent some time on or the day before, Total Expert, just learning how to better market, right? Putting contacts into the Total Expert database. So it's really so it's being very actionable and just doing number one, making sure that I'm following up on whatever the theme is of that day, and then also growing in some way. And taking some sort of step toward, that's business development oriented or marketing oriented, or even just educational oriented, like, studying, down payment assistance programs, just having enough familiarity to where when I get into a conversation with, I can have at least a conversation to kind of get things going. And then,
so you sound like the professional and educated and as a resource for
that. That's right. Yep, that's right. And then and then if I don't know an answer, then be able to say, okay, yeah, I know exactly where to get it because I read that before. I just don't recall it off the top of my head. You know what I mean? So
I've heard you talk. We've talked a lot. We talk a lot, right?
Yep.
Because we sit 40 feet from each other.
Right.
You've even gone as far as to kind of like try to turn it into a game with some of the other LOs, right?
Yes,
like
yeah.
A little competition,
right.
Little bragging rights, and
yep.
Who can make the most calls, or what was that? What was the game you were trying to put together?
Yeah, there was contacting a certain number of realtors, new realtors, ones we haven't spoken with before. So having a certain number for the months of December, January, February.
See, I think it's a great idea, and I actually want to take and lay that gauntlet down and say let's try to put something together as a competition with a prize.
Yeah, let's do
starting in January, since we're already at the end.
Right, yeah.
Give everybody a clean slate, because I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, it is a great idea.
I'm just a little slow sometimes, so like you tell me something, it's like, okay, Ken, that's great. Go. Yeah, call Michael. He's
Here's my thing, right? So loan officers and realtors and anybody in sales, right? The term used, Bobby, is call reluctance, right? A lot of people refer to fear of calling people, and several months back, I remember stopping in your office and saying, you know what? At first I thought it was fear, but at some point it occurred to me that it wasn't fear that was holding me back from calling people. the root of all of that is pride. Right, it's like, okay, this person's going to,
it's going deep. Task.
Yeah, no, this person's going to, hurt tell me no or something like that, and it's really,
there's a lot of that where, no, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Have a nice day.
Exactly.
Yeah. Here's my number.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right?
So expand on that for me. And I know you've got a place. You got to be here a little bit. So we're almost going to wrap this up. At least we'll call this part 1 because
all right.
I think there's a lot more to your story that we want to unwrap as we go along. But let's talk about that. Like, obviously I know I've seen you on the phone. Everybody knows when Ken's on the phone, right? Like, yes, you are
and you're pumped up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he stands up a little straighter, and he's got that thing, and he's telling Siri to call so-and-so.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But, I mean, how do you overcome that? In other words, whether it's call reluctance, pride, the two kind of play together,
sure.
I think, in the same sandbox.
Right, yep.
So how did you overcome it, or how do you overcome it? Like, do you have something you tell yourself, like, I'm going to get this one, like, this one's mine, like, before every call, or is it just ingrained in your mindset, like, this is what I have to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, yeah. It is a belief. So,
because I'm going to tell you that what you just described, the pride, the call reluctance, that is the biggest, in my opinion, hurdle for people.
Well, it's a firm belief that I am going to provide exceptional service, that I really am going to help clients, become raving fans of their realtors. So I have a firm belief that I can help realtors build and expand upon their business. And there are some very tactical things, like the referrals and the 5-star reviews, but there are other things too, just building relationships with their clients, and so that they also are more comfortable with their clients, and they, next year, or on the anniversary or on their birthdays of their clients, they feel confident calling that person. So I believe that I add real value to a realtor in many ways, and it's that belief that I can help them build their business, and that allows me to make the phone calls and
to power through the doubt.
Yeah, to power through the doubt. And the other thing is, there's a lot of realtors, they've been working with somebody for a long time, and if they say no, hey, I'll be working with so and so, I'm like, all right, that's great, no problem. I don't, I'm not gonna, I'm probably not gonna try. I may push back a little bit, but I also am accepting. I don't know where I was gonna go with that. I was gonna say. It doesn't bother me. The point is, it doesn't bother me. If they say, "Hey, I really got a long-standing relationship with this person," I'm, stop calling me Ken. It doesn't bother me, because I don't. I mean, because I feel like I'm really going to add value. You know what I mean? So,
see, and I think right there, that's the nugget for this episode. Right there is that you've got this belief ingrained that, you know what, whether you accept me or you don't, my goal is to bring true value to you.
That's a good point. And it's my value isn't diminished because somebody has told me no. They've told me no because somebody else is maybe doing that for them already, right?
And that's good for a rookie, dude. That is pretty good. Man. What do you think, Task? Stuff. I think that's good. Stuff. I think he's got, dude. Yeah. I think we got some more episodes in you, man.
Yeah, we'll see.
We're already 10 minutes from an hour. We're already 48 minutes into this thing. And I know you got something you got to do, but I've been telling you, hey, man, we're going to get you on an episode. Now I got you on an episode, dude. I think there's more that we need to unwrap. So hopefully you'll agree to sit in the chair again.
Yeah, it'd be my pleasure. Thank you.
Dude, well, first off, I know, and I speak for Task and everybody in the office, when I just want to congratulate you.
Thank you.
On what you've been able to accomplish year one, because you'll agree with me, right, bro? Year one is probably arguably the most brutal.
It is the most hardest in this industry, whether you're given a silver platter or starting from square one with a hammer and a chisel, for sure. And I think when I first met you, I said, you're a likable guy. We all like you, Ken. And I said, that's going to take you a long way, and I still believe that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
so with your
that.
Efforts and everything else, it's, sky's the limit.
Yeah, the efforts, man, those are the things that just impress. I mean, yes, you are likable. A lot of us are likable. You know, I think, but I think
huge thing.
I think you're determined. Yeah, because we have worked with people who weren't very likable. But, you know, again, going back to it though, I think like the drive and the effort that you're bringing to this day in and day out, like you're the last person I have to worry about. Like, is he working? You know what I mean? And it's great to finally see some of the fruits of that labor. And I think there's a lot more fruit on the tree for you.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, dude, like wow. Because I know going back to mine, when I first got into it, I had much quicker success very quickly and early on because the approach and just kind of like I mean, going back to it, I kind of tripped into my pipeline when I first got in, right? And it wasn't no master design. It was just opportunity was there. I took advantage of the opportunity, and I was able to start closing loans actually like the first month.
Nice.
But yeah, well, there's a but. I then get recruited by a big bank and moved to San Antonio, and I'm thinking, oh, dude, this is gonna be pancakes, man. Like this is a bigger organization, all these different things,
more
and
opportunity,
bigger city, blah blah blah. Pack up my family. We moved from Brownsville, Texas, to San Antonio, Texas. I take this job. Did not have the exact same drive going into the second job that I had when I first jumped into mortgage, which the first drive for me when I got into this business was I had to eat, right? Like there was no draw, there was no benefits, there was no nothing. It was like, I'll pay you when it funds, but you're on your own, kid. But I go and I take this bank job and fell on my face for like the first 4 months. Just, oh my God, like, wait, what? You know what I mean? So even though I didn't experience the challenges day one, we all still have to go through the fire.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I know. And Tass has got a very similar story, completely different. But this was there was a career switch for you in this too, right?
I was early on, but I was, early in my career in the mortgage business, similar to you. I had a lot of great successes easily and very quickly, to the point where I owned a business, and I was an owner of a mortgage brokerage. We owned a title company, etc. And really, the demise of that was the point where should I be doing this or not doing this? And it wasn't because the businesses were unsuccessful; they were successful. And it was the folks I was working with decided that they didn't want to be doing mortgages anymore or title, and they just wanted to change careers. And that's when I had that moment where I'm like, can I do this on my own in that particular instance? And I couldn't. It was a big organization that we had and really couldn't foresee taking over that organization at the moment. And decided to go back to square one and move to Austin, Texas and be a loan originator and not know a soul, and moved here in 2000 without having one contact at all as far as a realtor or...
That man, it's hard.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a challenge, man. I mean, it's a proving ground for sure, but it's good to see you. It's good to see you starting to thrive.
Yeah, thank you.
And we look forward to your success. So, what do you think? Another episode?
I'm in. Yeah? Absolutely.
I think on the next one we need to talk more about that relationship development, because that's been one area where you've been quite impressive on, I think.
Yeah, thank you.
What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to.
All right.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you, Bobby. Appreciate
it.
Big B. Big
B.
B.
Hey, baby. Hey, baby. All right, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Big B Mortgage Podcast. I want to say thank you to Ken Ziegler and my old friend Michael Task for being in the chair today. It has been said Michael talks too much, and he lived up to that today. Just sitting there being quiet.
I don't know who said that. Yeah.
No.
Was going.
He gets a bad rep, everybody, but
I'll take it.
He's
I
a
got
great
big, broad
guy.
shoulders.
There it is.
No problem.
Carry the weight.
Yes.
Anyway, hey guys, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us a like, give us a share, leave a comment, whatever. But regardless of all of that, just stay social, everybody. See you next time. Bye.